Hey guys, so I have a new one today for you. I've wanted to do this one for ages and it's Anne Boleyn. So I'm not a history expert, I do know the background and I did have a lot of questions from people about this as well. So first of all, these are the questions I have in particular, okay? And there's things that came up before the reading because I pick up information as well. So how did she feel about Henry, okay? Now, at the moment, she says it's water under the bridge now. Water under the bridge now. So the healing is done now. But let's see how she really felt about him at the time. Was it power and money, or did she actually really have feelings there for him? So, let me check. Oh, guys, straight away, this is quite messy cards, okay? Oh, okay. So in one way, yeah, I don't feel she was actually attracted to him like everybody said. I don't know if you've seen the Tudors, but it shows that the family were very pushing, kind of pushed her into it. She didn't actually really find him super attractive at the time, and back then he was meant to be like when he was younger at least, a very attractive guy, but when she met him, she wasn't really feeling it, to be honest. But the magician means success here, okay? So it was kind of like a cross. She knew what happened to his other wives as well, okay? And he could be very ruthless. So she saw it as two things. She was torn between the tower, which means things completely crashing down and falling around her. And I do feel people warned her about him. That he would go through her really quickly and be on to the next one, and she had to play her cards right, so she was quite ruthless with it. But at the same time, she was also drawn because we had the magician, which is the omen for success here, and this would raise her ranking as well. So it's kind of like a cross here. It's almost like on one side she wanted success, okay, and on the other side she also knew it could be ultimate downfall, which it was. So she knew it was like and the weird thing is, it's like a difficult decision to make, because then we have the double-edged sword here, okay? So this means a painful decision that needs to be made. So in a way, if she didn't do it, somebody else would end up with him, and then she wouldn't have the title that she really wanted. But at the other end, if she did go for him, we could end up in the tower moment, which is what we see here. So it was really difficult. And also, when she did actually go for it, we do have, okay, so this card here, this is the Eight of Pentacles, guys, and this means she was willing to put the hard work in once she started. So she wasn't necessarily super attracted to him at first, but afterwards she really was willing to put the hard work in to make the marriage work and to prove. It's almost like once she entered into it, because everybody said it will never last, she wanted to prove people wrong, I'm hearing. But there wasn't really an overall instant attraction. I know he was really handsome when he was younger. I don't know how old he was when she met him, but I just get the vibe that she wasn't really feeling it. She liked the power he had. She like, oh God, no, guys, I just pulled another card for her feelings for this. And the Ten of Swords is the worst card in the pack, in the respect that it means ultimate endings, death, complete endings. So in a way, she kind of knew it could be her demise when she got with him. And I don't really have any cards here that show any love or anything here, any really loving feelings towards him. I'm still pulling them. Okay, so the balance is completely off in their connection. It was completely one-sided, which most of us know anyway, and she was really concerned about that. She wasn't used to be kind of put down. She was very strong and fiery, not submissive, and he had a lot of control there, which she couldn't bite her tongue. I hear she could not bite her tongue. Sounds a bit like me, but she still wanted to provide the happy family. Okay, she wanted to do the happy families thing. So the more she got into it, the more she really wanted to try and prove herself as a wife and as a mother. Okay, but ultimately, I mean, no, there's no cards here which suggest at all she was madly in love with him. I feel she was more attracted to the actual power here over anything else. And he was charming and he was funny. They used to laugh a lot in Picking Up as well, which people wouldn't really imagine that, but I really feel he laughed with her like he would laugh with no other, because she had like a wicked sense of humour as well. Yeah, it's quite interesting. But the Four of Cups here means just not happy in the connection. She's really not happy. This isn't somebody that's happy. This is them in their personal life really happy with low moods. And I feel that's Henry as well, which we'll ask about later. But she did feel there could be healing in here. So the Four of Swords, and I feel this is when things started to go really wrong, that she still thought to the very last minute she could turn it around, there'd be healing for them. But it didn't happen that way. But I like to say I got more love cards. I mean, how did you love him? Did you love him? No, again, guys, I'm not getting any cards that show she really loved him. This is him to a T, in my respect. The King of Pentacles means a really financially wealthy man, very, very successful, just very, very much in his element. I mean, the King of Pentacles is the ultimate for richness, basically. Out of all the kings you've got the King of Swords, which is more highly intelligent, the King of Wands, which is more passionate and creative. But for me, this is definitely a Henry card. So I still don't get anything. No, again, I'm still questioning her, like, what about the love there? And we have the Empress, which means abundance, fertility. This is the mother card. So in a way, she knew he could provide her and her family with a really, really good life. She did get jealous later on, but it was more, I feel, to do with losing her status over his looks as such. She wasn't instantly attracted to him. It wasn't really like that. She just wanted to play her cards right. And then as time went on, it was more about proving herself as a wife and a mother. So, how does she feel about being portrayed as an adulterer or the Scarlet Woman? Okay, now this is what I picked up again before I did this reading, guys. So it says here, she loved the arts, singing and dancing. This is what came through, and she will not apologise for it. The French courts would never have treated this in the same way. They were much more bohemian and saw Henry as a tyrant and someone that was very controlling. They respected his masculinity, but also laughed at his stubbornness. So it's a bit of a running joke in the French courts before she even went out there, okay? But let's just pull some cards in general. I just want to know, how does she feel? Was there any truth to it? She's pretty adamant there wasn't, by the way. Shaking her head. Let me just see. Was there any truth to this at all about the affairs? Flirtations, I hear, but that's it. And that was more to make Henry jealous. So instantly I just got that. It was more flirtations than anything serious to make him jealous. A taste of his own medicine I just got as well. Oh, yeah. So I said a taste of his own medicine, and I said, is there any truth in it? And it was heartache. So the things he was doing to her, she had a lot of pride as a woman. She was almost like a man in the sense of that time. I can't explain it. How can I explain it? She wasn't submissive. She was very outspoken. She played him at his own game. So the Three of Swords is more the heartache it caused here by doing this. So she kind of flirted, but that made him more irate and felt like he couldn't trust her anymore. But she wanted to give him a taste of his own medicine. That's what I'm picking up quite strongly there. And look. And the Four of Pentacles here is in, again, it's flirtation, okay? She wanted to make him possessive of her, like to still love her and want her. The Four of Pentacles is pretty much saying, oh, how to explain this? You want somebody to kind of be really, really jealous over you. This is the jealousy card. This is a guy holding on to the money, but in a love reading, it can be possessive and jealousy. Whenever I do love readings, it means somebody, watch out, red flags, they could be jealous over you. But in a way, she wanted him to feel that about her. So any truth to it? Any truth to it at all? Let's pull some more cards. No, I just don't get any truth. I don't get any cards here at all, guys, about any deceit or the devil or anything like that at all. I mean, the star pretty much is almost continuing her wish. This is her wish come true, which was to be a mum, to have a family, okay, to be the queen. She just wanted to build on that. She was working really, really hard to have this outcome. And she did it by trying to make him jealous and flirt. And again, taste of his own medicine, thinking that it would work for her and he'd come back. But it worked against her. It really worked against her. And she knew gossip would get back to him. So she quite liked it when somebody would say something back to him like, oh, there's this guy in court and he was watching her dance, or he paid a compliment to her and she smiled at him. So other people around, she would almost like start little rumours in a way to make him jealous, but they snowballed in the wrong way. They didn't have the right effect, I'm getting, okay? So I don't believe that. I don't believe she was unfaithful. I really don't. I believe she flirted and she wanted to get his attention back and be in favour with him again, I hear, because he was getting bored of her, which is horrible. How did she feel about her replacement, Jane Seymour? I hope I got this right, guys, because I used to read about this all the time. I'm pretty sure it was Jane Seymour that took over from her, okay? Sorry, the moment I got this word, it made me laugh so hard. So happy as she's welcome to him. She was submissive, exactly what he needed. And Anne, as in herself, she's saying this, okay, had a temper, and I would not always submit to him. I was very wily. So I had to Google wily. I think a wily coyote, okay, like crafty, but this is the actual meaning that she wanted to get across, okay? So very wily, she's saying she was intelligent. She had a very good understanding of situations, possibilities, and people, and often willing to use tricks to achieve them. And for her, it was almost like the flirtation side of it, you know? Her fiery side, her creative side. She was just a different woman for that time, completely different, completely out of the ordinary for that time she was in. Now, let's just see Jane Seymour though. Any more cards? I haven't actually pulled cards because I've got goosebumps again coming up for Jane Seymour, which is quite interesting. I wonder what's going to come up here. So that came through without any cards, guys. So I'm just wondering, how does she feel about Jane Seymour? I keep getting she's welcome to him. So basically, the Ace of Wands, this is almost like she was the next sexual thing. She was the next sexual attraction, lustful and youthful. Now, she wasn't lusty. She came from quite a good family. She kind of would do kind of like innocent moves where she would act very pure and sweet, whereas Anne wasn't really like that. Anne was more cheeky and fun. And Jane was more very kind and sweet, but she also had a glint in her eye. She knew how to flirt as well. You know, she wasn't like everyone's portraying her to be. It's pretty much what Anne's saying it about. She did have they did have a sexual chemistry, even though they try and play it down that she was the sweet, loving, you know, Jane was so lovely and sweet. She still knew what she was doing, pretty much. That's what Anne's saying here, okay? And the moon, yes, there's hidden qualities to Jane that don't come across in history. And for me, that is like the flirting and kind of going out of her way to entrap him as well, you know. And again, I feel this could be more from Jane's family as well, trying to be pushed to actually go for Henry because things were going so badly with Anne. But basically, Anne's pretty much saying, I mean, I would never expect to get those cards for Jane Seymour, guys. She's portrayed as purity and light. I mean, we have somebody that has a good sexual connection to Henry and also hidden things about her that you're not aware of. So the history books aren't portraying it exactly how it is. She knew exactly what she was doing, I just had. And then we have the Page of Cups as well, which means love tokens and messages. I get tokens randomly. I think in the older days, they used to call it tokens because this is just like a romance card. Nowadays, this is texting somebody, for example, you know, slipping into somebody's DMs. But I feel this is her towards him. So maybe a poem at some point, poetry, little things like that to show she liked him, but in a very subtle way, an innocence, a type of innocence, which is what drew Henry in. And then I just heard she's not as innocent as she makes out though, okay? So that's what Anne was trying to get across there with Jane. No hard feelings though. Just have a sip of water. No hard feelings. That's what she just said about Jane. Okay, this is what I really want to know, guys, right? Did Henry get worse after his riding accident? Or was this all lies? Because he had a riding accident and they said very shortly after his moods changed, he had concussion. It was a very severe injury that, you know, led to ulcers in his legs and eventually the downfall of his health as well. So I'm saying here, let's see, did Henry get worse after his riding accident? Was this all lies? So again, before I even pull the cards, this is what came out earlier, okay? He did have a mean streak, okay, anyway. He had a mean streak in him anyway, because he was brought up as the chosen one and no one ever wanted to disagree with him. So he's been pretty much brought up as God as a young child anyway, you know? So it was just one of those things anyway. It was more spoilt, okay? He was loving, he was passionate, he was charming, he was a playboy. But ultimately, he had a mean streak. He had a massive ego before he even was throned, okay? Now, let's just see what the cards say as well, though. So did Henry get worse after his riding accident? I just got here excruciating headaches, screaming in pain, like anger from the headaches, and they would go on for hours and hours. So that's one part of it that would make him tetchy. So when these would start, he would lose it. And I'm hearing a pin drop. He could hear a pin drop. So literally any noise around, I haven't pulled a card yet, by the way, any noise around him at all would trigger him and set him off. It's like walking on eggshells, but even the eggshells would set him off. That's what I'm hearing. So it's more that the headaches that really did it than just the temper and anger at the moment. I'm getting more these excruciating headaches that would go on for hours and hours and hours was what was triggering him more than just random bursts of violence. So it's like when he would go through one of these episodes of really bad headaches for hours and hours and hours, you just couldn't be around him at all. You just had to watch yourself. Watch your feet. When I hear watch your feet, for me, that means more watch what you're stepping on. Just complete silence. Even rustling. I'm hearing rustling of clothes. So back then they had very layers and layers of robes, silk, satins. I'm hearing even the rustling would set him off when he was in one of those moods. So just walking around him, it would set him off. Let's just pull a card. Yeah, the moon. The moon. Again, so for him, this means literally hidden emotions and feelings under the surface. So this is things that are under the surface lurking. So the moon could mean they could look okay, they seem fine, they look absolutely fine, but underneath there's this darkness there and there's things hidden all over again, a bit like Jane Seymour. Hidden beneath the surface, not everything is as it seems with them. Oh yeah. Now this is quite interesting because I think it was shortly after this things really went downhill for them. The Eight of Swords literally means after this, he was just not committed at all. The wife, the family, everything. This is just mean him having no commitment to anything, to bring joy into anyone's lives at all. He just wanted to be pandered for and cared for. And it's almost like he wasn't committed to anything after this accident. It's almost like he lost interest in everything and went downhill very rapidly in emotions. I would say to the point of depression, very bad depression as well. Yeah. And this is quite interesting. Now, the Ten of Pentacles as well. I'm not really getting about his mood swings. It's more about what his mood swings could cause. He was very, very worried emotionally. It's more the damage the headaches did emotionally, the effect they could have, okay? So it wasn't like he just had, all of a sudden he turned into a different person overnight. He was in a lot of pain that made him angry. And his biggest worry was losing money. Almost like countries not investing in the UK. I don't even know if they invested in countries back then, guys, but countries would not invest in him because they would see him as weak, and he tried to hide it, the severity of it, because the word was getting around that he was weakened and he was really worried about the financial stability of England, is what I get there. So that was something that really concerned him. So no, guys, I'm not getting anything as split personalities. It's more, okay, this is completely different, but I suffered from vestibular migraines for like 2 years. It was really severe. I mean, I had to learn to walk again. It was horrendous, okay? That's why I'm limited to readings. But when you have them and they're excruciating and they go on for days and days, 6 hours, I mean, sometimes it goes on for 3 days solid, anything will trigger you and set you off. So it's almost like the pain he went through made him angry. He didn't just wake up a different person, okay? He was in pain and that's how he responded. Oh, sorry, another drink of water. This is really tiring today. Okay, let's see. I have one more question, guys. And after, I'm more than happy to do a part 2. If you want to write down any questions you have, I will do a part 2. I'm sure she'd be okay to do that. It'd be quite interesting to do one of her and how she thinks about Diana and today's monarchy as well. How does she feel about the series The Tudors? So is it Natalie Dormer? I hope I said that right, that played her. Was it realistic? I've got, goosebumps going off. Okay. Exaggerated. So it was exaggerated. So Natalie was exaggerated in her portrayal. She wouldn't fly off the handle like they said. She was a bit more careful. It was the King of England after all, and she was a woman, as she says. So it's kind of like portrayed to make her more fiery than what she was. Yes, she would go off, but she did it in more of a subdued way, and I'm getting touching his arm. So rather than just kicking off, it would be a bit more careful about the way she wanted to get her way, basically. So just a touch on his arm and say, like, Henry, I think that's a great idea. More putting ideas into his head than completely going off on one, like in the Tudors when she's answering back all the time. Okay, so let's just see though, how does she feel about the portrayal of her? So let's just pull a card and just see. Okay. So the world for me here is, this is how the world and the history books have seen her. So obviously the Tudors is pretty much getting information. They did it very well, the costumes, everything, okay? But it's almost like it's the portrayal that the world wanted to see and heard about her, not really what she was like. They did get some aspects down, but they exaggerated. I keep getting exaggerated it, especially with the temper, exaggerating it. The flirting, she was more demure than that, I'm hearing as well. So she did flirt, but it was more subtle. There was a subtlety to it. It wasn't like they're portraying it. It's to make it, they wanted to make the Tudors more exciting than in what the reality really was. And she's saying that a lot of these things that happen over months and years, and it wasn't as quick as it is in the series because they're trying to speed it up. So within one series, you might see her flirt with multiple people. It could be months and months before she had any interaction with a guy, for example, and that people will be like, oh, she might be flirting with this guy. It wasn't like that. She's almost trying to say they've combined everything together in a really short space of time to make it more exciting and good TV, good viewing. I just heard to make it good viewing. But she wasn't, as they're completely trying to portray her there, a complete firecracker. Do you know what I mean? She had her way. She's saying she had her way with her, yeah? She had her way with men, she did, and women, and she could charm women as well. But she wasn't, it wasn't portrayed correctly, basically. Not completely correctly. They did their best, but they made her out to be more of a femme fatale than she really was. Oh yeah, guys, this is interesting. Because the Three of Pentacles means studying and learning, okay? And this is, for me, is the series about they learned from all the history books. Obviously, you're going to, okay? You're not there to speak, Joanne, are you? So they've gone through all the history books and they've really studied hard to really understand what she was like, but they still haven't got it. It's just paper. I'm hearing it's just paper. So anything written down is just pen to paper. It's not people that really knew her as a person, obviously. It's just what they've got on paper. It's all they can go by. It's all they can go by, I hear. Yeah, and the Lovers means as well. The sex in the Tudors is quite full on. And again, the Lovers, they've tried to spice it up more than what it was really like. Okay, so again, the Lovers to me is they're trying to spice it up. I keep hearing good TV. So she likes Natalie Dormer. She thinks she did a great job, but it wasn't her. You're just seeing what they've written in the history books. And they're saying even the history books is like the Daily Mail nowadays or something. They try to spice up history. When you were writing in a historical book back then as well, would try and spice things up like we would in the papers now. You read the Daily Mail, they tenfold it, okay? And that's what's kind of was happening back then. So some of the information you read in the history books was people trying to make it more exciting as well. It wasn't always spot on. And again, nobody's there to talk to her as such. You're never going to really know. Do you know what I mean? So I really like this reading. I really enjoyed it. What I'm going to do from now on, guys, I'm going to, before I do my cards, leave questions below and I will do some I'll sit down and kind of meditate and see what I get through, the information I get through. Because sometimes the information I get through before I even pull the cards, for me, is far more interesting than pulling the cards. So I will do both from now on. That is it. Really hope you enjoyed it today. Any other historical figures you would like me to do? One last random question, really quickly, because I've got goosebumps here, which is another sign to say this, because it just came in my head. Okay, 1 second. Obviously her daughter, Elizabeth. How does she, really going off, you probably can't see this in this light, but the moment I mention Elizabeth, the joy of her life, oh, it's quite emotional. My arm, honestly, certain questions I get goosebumps, which means follow it up. They want you to follow it up. How does she feel about her? I just heard she got her own back. As in, by having that daughter, she got her own back in the end, because obviously she ended up becoming the Queen of England and had the longest reign, I think. So let's just see quickly. How does she feel? Oh, best card to finish on. Best card to finish on. When I said, how does she feel about Elizabeth, her daughter, taking on the throne, okay? She's portrayed her as the King of Pentacles, which was the card for Henry earlier. So literally taking his place, but doing it in a better way and a more mature way. So she literally said she is completely equal to Henry in what she did and how she ruled, okay? Just because she was a woman, she was completely equal. She was a better ruler, which we know now anyway, okay? But it's given me goosebumps again, the fact that out of 78 cards, this one came up again, how you feel about Elizabeth, okay? And she's saying it's Henry number 2. She's doing exactly what he did, but better. And there's a lot of pride there as well. A lot of pride there. Right. I think I've gone through everything. Let's just have a look. Yeah, that's it. Wow, I can't believe that last card. That was so interesting that she said it's pretty much him. She is him. Elizabeth's him, you know. Right, I'm off. Any questions? Put below. Hope you enjoyed this, guys. Bye.